Welcome to Marvel Rewind, a Marvel Champions Retrospective Series. In this series, I will be tasked with defeating every villain in order, progressing from the core set to the latest release. The catch? I'm only allowed to use cards released up until that point. After defeating the villain, they each will be ranked in terms of their difficulty, determined by the cards available at the time. Thematic matchups, crazy boost effects, and sinister encounter cards await. Tune in every Tuesday for new episodes of Marvel Rewind. What's going on, guys? It's Char here, back with another episode of Marvel Rewind, a Marvel Champions Retrospective Series. Now, in today's episode, we are moving on to the fourth scenario in the Sinister Motives expansion box, having us take on not one villain, but six. We've got the Sinister Six scenario. They're all going to be taking on Miles Morales, Spider-Man. Let's get down on the table and see how it goes. Okay. So here we are down at the table. Now today we are fighting the Sinister Six, as you saw in the intro, with none other than Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and yeah, that should be a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and talk through this setup real quick and real briefly here. I thought this was a pretty fun and thematic one because we look at Light in the End as Miles and Ghost Spider, and same thing here on the other side. Sinister Six is a bit of an interesting scenario. I played it in Expert a couple times, but I don't think it necessarily gets that much. Definitely gets harder in Expert, but not in a way that I think is super interesting. A lot of it is it just gives things Surge, which, you know, it's a very debated topic. Of course, Surge does make things harder, but does it make it harder in a very interesting way? I'm not so sure about that. Let's talk through the setup here. So the contents are Doc Ock, Electro, Hobgoblin, Kraven the Hunter, Scorpion, Vulture, and that's it. So that's basically all these villains here. So the whole gimmick is that these villains will come in and out of the scenario through encounter cards when you defeat them and through this ambush ability on the main scheme. To make the encounter deck, we need the Sinister Six, Guerrilla Tactics, and the standard encounter sets. That should all be in here already. We have the standard and expert set already. And then also our obligation is right at the top. Usually I have them separated out into piles, but I had them shuffled up a little bit already. So we'll have that shuffled up. For the setup, we choose X villains at random, where X is one more than the total number of players. Put those villains into play, then place the active counter on the villain with the lowest activation order value. Set the other villains aside. Then put Light at the end of the tunnel scheme into play with the trap side face up, which we already have right here. So we're going to shuffle this up here, and I guess we'll just keep some consistent villains here. We'll actually have to wait and see. But let's go ahead. So X is one more than the number of players. We're playing solo right now, so that'll be two villains. There are 6 of these guys in total. So let's just roll a dice twice and see which one. So we'll get number 5, and we'll also get number 4. Okay, so let's shuffle these up a little bit. I don't know which any of them are, but we'll just get the 4 and 5 out. So it's these two. So we've got Kraven and Hobgoblin here at the beginning. So I'll order them by the lowest activation order. It looks like Hobgoblin is the lowest here. And then we'll have the active. Let's just put the first player counter on him. So here we go. We've got Hobgoblin with this counter on him. So Hobgoblin has 9 health. Kraven has 9 health. They all have different abilities. So it says, force response after Hobgoblin attacks and damages you, take 2 indirect damage. Then you move the active counter to the next villain in the activation order. When defeated, you remove 4 threat from a side scheme, or 7 if it's the last villain in play. And when Kraven attacks and damages you, you choose and discard 1 support or upgrade you control. So this one's really disgusting. We definitely want to get rid of that. And that's about it. There's really nothing else. We'll flip it over here. Because these guys only have 9 health, we're actually going to use our big villain dial for the threat on the side scheme, because it comes in with 10 threat and then a hinder 10 per player, so it's starting with 20. The players cannot win unless they escape. As a force interrupt, when the last threat is removed from the scheme, resolve the ambush ability on the main scheme, then you flip this card over. The players can escape on the other side. Sinister Synchronization is going to come in here with 2 threat per player. And it says, the ambush special, you kind of read what it does here. This is every time the card talks about the ambush ability, it's from the main. Just choose a set-aside villain at random, place the active counter on it, and in extra mode, you put 2 threat on the side scheme light at the end. As a force interrupt when a villain would activate, if there's no villain in play, you resolve the card's ambush ability and continue that activation. So you can't really game it if you knock out all of them. There will always be a villain to activate. So we're just going to keep shuffling up here, and then we will go ahead and cut to the game where we were successful. All right, and see you there. Okay, so here we are at the winning attempt. So we actually did have a loss this time around. I thought we were going to go through, besides Venom Goblin, Sinister Motives was going pretty well. So we do have something for a bit of a fail reel. Yeah, so let's go ahead and explain what we're doing for the deck, because it makes no sense because y'all haven't seen the previous game. We're just playing Justice with Miles here. He's really good with it. I mean, he's really good with most aspects, but essentially you want to be playing a lot of his own cards. And the Justice is just here to supplement so we don't lose to the main scheme and things such as that. There's really not a whole lot super interesting with this deck. It's kind of just like the really good Justice cards in solo. And hopefully that can help us get a win here against the Sinister Six. I think I talked about the Sinister Six briefly in the last game, that I've played this a couple of times. I just don't think that they get really that much more interesting and expert. I think the way they get harder is just annoying rather than anything clever. Essentially, a lot of their cards just get Surge printed on them, which can be quite annoying, and kind of the reason that ultimately led to the last game loss. But we are past that. We are drawing up our hand here, so... Okay, we have like a ton of our allies here. I would like to get a bit greedy. I don't need any of these cards right now. I'll just keep the Nick Fury because he's just really good as an opener. And let's draw up 5 more. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Cool. All right, so we'll just get this playing. So let's spend 4 resources here. Let's play on our Nick Fury. After he enters play, we're going to use the ability to draw us 3 cards here. 1, 2, and 3. Got a Heroic Intuition, we've got our Web Shooter, we've got a Beat Cop, so it's pretty simple for me. We'll spend 1 here. Let's get down the Web Shooter. So last game, I actually decided to stay down the first turn, and it worked out pretty well, but we have a reason to actually flip up now, because now we can spend 2 resources plus this Web Shooter to get down this Beat Cop. I love this card. I think it's a bit slow tempo, but in solo specifically, I think it's pretty good. We're going to use it to take 1 threat off the main here and put it onto the B-Cop. I just think it's really fun because it can, counteract the threat going up by 1 per player every turn, which opens up your basic activations to kind of do whatever you want, realistically speaking. Let's just go ahead and Dome Kraven here for 4 damage. So we'll go ahead and do a 4 to him. And then Nick Fury will take a consequential, but he's going to be blocking this Hobgoblin attack anyways. And that'll be it. Let's ready up. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, we've got Helicarrier here. We've got Jessica Jones. Yeah, this could be pretty cool. Let's see what we can do. So it's gonna go up to 2. Hobgoblin's gonna attack us for a base of 1 here. 2. We're blocking that with Nick Fury all the time. Got an encounter card. Attach to the villain with the most remaining hit points. If you cannot, so threat cannot be removed from light at the end. So Hobgoblin has that now. So even if we end up defeating Kraven here, we actually can't remove threat. Until we defeat Hobgoblin. So it kind of changes who we have to hit. They're like, hey, hit me instead. So, okay. What do we want to do then? So, I do like Hobie here. But I feel like I just want to keep setting up. So maybe we do this. Trying to think here. I like Jessica as well, though. She's always gonna have that 2 thwart on her. This is interesting. I'm not sure what I want to do here. We could go 1, 2, 3 for Helicarrier. Unhold Jessica, maybe. We flip down. I mean, we could just really set up for a huge flip back up. Hope that we don't scheme out on the main. That is something that we can think of doing. So what would that look like? Let's spend 1 here. No, we don't want to actually spend the Web Shooter. We want to get it down with our discount. So what is an ally we want to keep? Maybe Hobie for sure, right? So we'll spend... We'll spend a Web Shooter here. 2 more resources to get down a Helicarrier. Let's exhaust the Helicarrier and put our 2nd Web Shooters into play. And then we just stay up and take Hobgoblin's attack. I feel like we don't even need to risk flipping down. That's an interesting question. But I think I do actually want to risk flipping down. So we'll take one threat off the main. And do we zero it out? Hobgoblin does have a scheme of 2. No, I think we just stay up here. Let's deal 2 damage to Hobgoblin, and we'll ready up. Keep Spider-Man in hand here, and drop 4 more cards. 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Stealth Strike is decent. Under Surveillance is really good for us. Let's see what we can do. This goes up to 2. Hobgoblin's going to hit us for a base of 1. We'll just take this. 2, 3, 4. What's going to happen is we take 2 indirect damage as well. So he's going to deal 6 damage total. We're down to 3 health. Got an encounter card here. Assault, the villain attacks me. So Kraven's going to hit us here. We're going to defend this, and hopefully it's a 0 boost. 2. Put this minion to play, engage with you. Oh, that is so lucky. So we get the life-size decoy, and expert. He has toughness. But since it was a 0 boost, he didn't actually attack and damage me. So we don't have to discard an upgrade or a support, which is really good for us. Okay. What do we do now? So we're always going to remove a threat here with Beat Cop. Drop that down. We want to spend Hobie here, I think, just so we can play him off of Across the Spider-Verse. So we'll spend 2 resources here. Kraven only has a scheme of 1, so I think this makes sense. We'll spend 2 resources. Yeah, we have to flip down this turn to get down under surveillance, so we'll put that on the main here. We'll do a helicarrier and the Sense of Justice here for Across the Spider-Verse. We can play a spider. Oh, we have to exhaust a Web Warrior card. Okay, we can't actually do that. So instead of doing that, yeah, we will spend, I guess we'll get down Sense of Justice instead. So this will be another. So we have a ton of resource generators right now. So we really just want to find our events here. This one's for thwart events. We have these 3. We have this. We're going to flip down. And we're definitely going to look for a card that we want to shuffle back in. Web Shot is decent, but we get discounts on Swing In. We're probably going to need the Swing In anyways because the threat's probably going to go up a bit. So let's do that. And we can activate our Spider Camouflage, giving us a stun and a confuse, which should all be really good for us. Okay, shuffling that up. And we're going to draw up here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, we have like all of our upgrades, no Swing In, but oh man, this is a really awkward hand because we want to recover so bad here. We have no allies. Oh man, this is looking pretty tough. It's gonna go up by 2, up to 2. He's gonna scheme for base of 1, up to 3. Got an encounter card here. Each enemy gets +1 scheme and +1 attack. Oh my gosh, that's okay. That's every enemy in play. So, oh, this is really bad. What can we do? Yeah, that's like terribly bad for us. I think we just have to risk staying down another turn. We just don't have anything we can play with this hand. I mean, we could play both Power Withins. And so what does that get us? This guy's going to hit us. We get a stun. We get a confuse. An Arachnobatics and knock him out. That'll take 5 off of this. We can take 1 more with the Beat Cop. This guy will hit us for 0. Damn. But then we still have to stun, and then if they get another activation, we're cooked. I'm trying to think here. I mean, yeah, I think we have to flip up. We don't really have a choice. Let's play on the Web of Life and Destiny here. Well, we have to flip up to do that. So we'll commit. We'll flip up to do that. I think we're just overpaying, right? We'll overpay for defense mechanism. We'll pay for Power Within. And then, You swing for 2, and then it deals 5. You can stun Kraven and knock out Hobgoblin. Yeah, that's probably better. So we'll swing for 2. We'll do both of these. Swing for 2 on a Hobgoblin. Let's bring him to 4. So what's going to happen is we're going to confuse him, and then we get a tough status. Yeah, we're just resolving our specials here on our identity. which essentially says spider camouflage. We can give ourselves a tough status and confuse an enemy. And then the spider venom blast is deal 2 damage to an enemy and stun them. So there we go. And then we will spend a helicarrier here for arachnobatics. We'll deal 2 damage to an enemy if the enemy has a stun status 3 more, or if they have a confused 3 more. So we're doing a base of 2 plus 3, 5. Hobgoblin only has 9 health. We're gonna go ahead and knock him out. Just gonna get rid of this attachment as well. So what that does is it removes 4 threat from a scheme. It says their when defeated ability. We'll remove it from teamwork makes the dream work. Then we're gonna go ahead and exhaust to move a threat onto the beat cop just so we can clear this out. We have a stun on Craven. We're really low on health, but we have a tough and there's a stun out, so hopefully it works out. We're going to ready everything up and drop 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, Stealth Strike is decent here. Stealth Strike's actually pretty good. We get really big value off of it. So it's going to go up to 4. Craven's going to go ahead and attack us. He can't. He's stunned. Counter card. When revealed, the villain with the highest activation order attacks with plus X attack, where X is equal to the amount of heroes in play. I have nothing to cancel that or anything, so we just have to defend for 2. So it's base of 2, 3, 4. We're down to 1 health here. Oh, sorry, we didn't have to defend that. I forgot. Sorry, it's going to go into our tough here. Yeah, I forgot I had that. I thought it was cooked. Okay, that's not too bad. Let's back to us. What do I want to do? Oh, we have to flip down, it looks like. We have 4 justice, which could go really good for us to just flip here. I don't really think I want to resolve the ambush ability. I'd rather him just scheme for a base of 1. So I think I'll spend these 3 resources here. Let's put down Mockingbird. Let's go ahead and stun Craven here. Let's have Mockingbird swing for 1 just to break the tough on this guy. Take a consequential here. I think we'll just spend this for justice. How many stealth strikes do we have left? Did we spend all of them to... There's a chance we draw into another, so maybe we'll just greed the double resource here. So let's do Helicarrier and Sense of Justice for 4 justice. We'll drop this down by 4, and then we'll use our beat cop here to take 1 off of light at the end, bring it down to 19. I think we have to flip down here. Let's shuffle a card back into our deck. I really don't know which one's the best. I guess Defense Mechanism probably. No, it's probably always the swing-ins, right? I would think so, because he's gonna scheme for a little bit here, so that gives us another tough. It gives us another confuse, so we can keep flipping up and down every turn, taking advantage of extra cards and whatnot. So I think that works out pretty well. Cool. And we're also gonna recover for 4 here, back up to 7, and that's gonna be it for us. Let's ready up everything here. We have 5 cards. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, these are good cards in our hand. This is gonna go up to 1. Craven's gonna go and scheme for base of 1, 2, 3. So wait, 1, 2, 3. This will go up to 4. Got an encounter card here. Expert mode against Insight 1 and can't be canceled. And we're just gonna put Doc Ock and Scorpion into play. And then, yeah. They weren't already in play, so nothing happens with that. So these guys enter play. It's still on Craven here, though, and that's it. Okay. So we want to play the Stealth Strike for sure. Genki could find us a card, so let's spend 2 resources here. Let's play on Genki. Let's exhaust him to draw us a card here. Okay. We didn't get any of our swing-ins on 2, 3, 4, 5. We're not decking out just yet. I think we have 2 swing-ins coming up. We want to get out Spider-Man. Do we have the economy for it? I think we do. So what do we want? Probably want to knock out Doc Ock or something, because we want to use Kraven's stun as best as we can. So let's just, do we recover here? No, I don't think so. I think we'll just flip up. Okay, so what do we want to start with? We'll have Mockingbird swing for 1 here into the life-size decoy. He's going to take a damage. Then we're going to stealth strike him. So we'll spend, I guess, a helicarrier and this for stealth strike. Deal 4 damage to an enemy. If it attacked and defeated an enemy, remove 2 threat from a scheme. So we'll knock out the life-size decoy here. And then we'll remove 2 threat from, I guess, the main here. Drop it down to 3. Now we definitely want to play Spider-Man here. So this counts as a wild resource. We'll spend both of these web shooters. This one's going to be defeated. And this one to get down Spider-Man. That'll be really good for us. And then I think we want to just start swinging on these guys. I guess Doc Ock is going to be more of a problem for us. So we'll just swing 2, ready, and then swing 2 more. So we'll deal 6 damage to Doc Ock here. And then he will have a consequential on him. And all right, we have a block from Mockingbird. Then let's use our beat cop here. Drop this down to 2 and ready up. All right, 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Double life. We got all our swing-ins, beat cop, web shot. Okay, these are really good for us. All right, this is gonna go up to 3. Kraven's gonna try and attack us. He can't. He's stunned. Now we have an encounter card, Shadow of the Past. So we're revealing our set aside Nemesis, Minion, and Side Scheme. Stalwart. So the Prowler's gonna come in here. And then this is gonna come in here. If you're an alter ego, place 1 acceleration token. We are not an alter ego, luckily. So what does this do? Prowler attacks the player. If not, it surges. And then this is attached to the minion with the highest printed hit points. Okay. Okay, that's, I mean, it's not great, but it's also not the end of the world. So we'll see what we can do. Alright, so what we want to do is probably end up knocking out both Kraven and Doc Ock here, if at all possible. And we'll just go from there. So, what do we want to do? So we can double life here, and we'll ready our identity, which is probably really good for us. So let's just start. Let's just swing for 2 on a Doc Ock. Let's knock him out. Remove 4 threat from a side scheme. Let's just clear off tracking prey. I don't want to deal with it. We're exhausted here. What I think I want to do, I think I want to instantly double life here. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So we'll change our form, and if we used a fist resource, we can ready our identity. So we're changing our form here, and we ready up. Do I want to shuffle something back in? What's in my hand right now? Swing in, web shot, swing in. I guess we'll shuffle this in and see if we have a chance at drawing into it. I don't really know. Like, I'm just gonna have to shuffle it so many times, closing my eyes. I really don't know which one it is. And let's just roll a dice for the top or the bottom one. So whatever it is, it's gonna be the even odd. So that's the card we drew. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it was only 2 cards. Oh, that was off Genki because I flipped down. So we do know the last thing in our deck is a web shooter, which is fine info. This is also ready, and this should also be ready. I forgot to ready these cards. Okay, so we want to stun up Scorpion here and probably knock out Kraven, it looks like. So let's flip up. So we want to play a web shot for sure. So let's do that first. Let's do these ones. Yeah, deal 4 damage to an enemy, and since we're using a lightning bolt, we resolve our venom blast. So we'll deal 4 here, resolve our venom blast against Scorpion. That's gonna go ahead and stun him, deal 2 damage and stun. So that's pretty cool. I think we just have Mockingbird. I think Mockingbird just swings here, knocks out the Prowler because he only has 5 health. She's gonna be defeated. We have 2 cards. We have a swing in left. So I think we just spend our hand. Let's do a Sense of Justice here. It's a thwart event. And then Quasar for swing in. We're going to thwart for 4. So I guess we just take it off the main. Yeah, we'll just take it off the main here. And we'll resolve our spider camouflage. So I guess we'll confuse Scorpion. and then get a tough status. So that's not bad. You have some survivability for sure. Let's just swing for 2. Sorry, swing for 2 first. That'll bring him up to 8. Swing for 2, that'll knock him out, and that'll ready me. So Kraven's defeated here. It's gonna move over to Scorpion. Then we take 4 threat off a side scheme. So it's down to 15. And we'll just do a basic thwart here for 2. We actually want to leave Scorpion out and just have him stun lock the whole game, because resolving the ambush I think is worse than having these guys out on the board. So I think that's all we've got. We're going to deck out this turn, but we do get to ready up. So we have 1 card we know was a web shooter. But yeah, we got to flip down that turn, draw off Genki, and then flip back up because of that double life. It's a really good card, especially as a 1 cost ready. So I'm a fan of it. Shuffle up, and we have 4 more cards to draw. Okay. That's 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my gosh, this is insane. Across the Spider-Verse with Peter about to go to the grave might have been the most rigged encounter deck I've ever seen. Okay, it's gonna go by 1. He's going to try and attack us. He can. He's stunned. And now and then 2 encounter cards because I decked out. It's the first one. Frequent Flyers. It gains Insight 1. And so Vulture and Hobgoblin are going to rejoin the fight. So we'll just put them into play. Nothing happens because they weren't already in play. So Vulture and Hobgoblin are here. And then we got the second encounter card. Attach the villain with the highest activation order, so that's Vulture here. And then he's going to get +X attack for all the villains in play. So we definitely want to try and knock him out this turn. Alright, that's back to us. I think we can, because Vulture luckily is like the weakest in terms of health pool. He only has 7 health here, so I mean, I think that's what we're going to do. Swing for 2 here. Swing for 2, that's going to ready us up. So we're going to deal 4 damage total. And then we're just going to play the Across the Spider-Verse because why not? We also get to draw off of the Web of Life and Destiny. Really good. So why not? Let's go ahead and play it. Play the Across the Spider-Verse here. We're going to exhaust the Web Warrior card we control. Let's put Peter back into play. Now, is there any more optimal stuff we can do? Probably want to knock out Hobgoblin as well if we can get there. We've done 4 total. Let's go ahead and spend a Helicarrier to get down a web shooter. It's kind of like delaying our economy a bit, but having the web shooter down is super good here. Then we want to do a web shot. We can do 1 web shot, or we can stealth strike here. Web shot's probably better. It puts a stun on the board. Yeah, I think we'll do that and probably hold the second web shot. So let's do this one. Drop it down to 1. Declare it as an energy resource. We'll do a web shot here. We'll deal 4 damage to an enemy. And then we'll resolve our Venom Blast ability. So we'll go ahead and knock out, I guess, Vulture here. So it's going to go in the discard pile. So when he's defeated, remove 4 threat from a side scheme. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down to 9. And then we can resolve our Venom Blast ability. Let's do 2 more damage here to Scorpion. And we're going to stun him. We could just stay up, which I'm thinking of doing. But also we want to like kind of squishy, make the villains a bit squishier, so we can do a really big thwart on that final turn. To hopefully try and win this game here. We have 6 damage left, so let's do 2, 2, and then ready 2 more. Let's do 6 to, I guess, Hobgoblin here. Spider-Man will have a consequential. We have a web shot in hand. Let's use our, beat cop here. Let's take a threat, drop it down, and I think that's gonna be it. We'll keep the web shot in hand, and we'll ready up. Cool. Drawing up 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. Defense mechanism, beat cop. We can get the second beat cop down. A web shot. It's not bad. So go up to 2. He's gonna try and attack us. He can't because he's stunned. We have an encounter card. Surprise! Again, Surge and can't be canceled. Okay, this is pretty bad. So we've got four guys here. We gotta resolve the ambush ability. It's gonna also surge. So whatever is the second one from the left here in a second. Who is this? Electro. Okay, and he gets the activation counter. Also, when we resolve the ambush in expert mode, we can put 2 threat online at the end. So this comes up to 11. And also it surges into Hidden in Shadow. Each enemy gets an extra encounter card icon. Comes in with 4 threat. Okay. So yeah, now we're not softening them up. We still want to just be knocking them out, it looks like. So Electro does have the activation counter on him. But we have a web shot here just to stun. So we might be good with that. Let's start off with the web shot anyways. So let's do... let's just spend both of these resources. I don't think I have any more resource requirements. Yeah, let's spend this last web shooter. Let's play a web shot here. Let's do a 4 damage to Hobgoblin and use our Venom Blast on Electro. It's gonna go ahead and knock out Hobgoblin, and we're gonna stun Electro here. So that should be pretty good for us. We also get to remove 4 threat from a side scheme, so we'll just clear off Hidden in Shadow immediately. Yeah, that's also gone. I want to get down probably the beat cop here, right? Yeah, let's get down the beat cop. That'll come back in, and we will. Now we have 2 on the board, which is really good. Keeping that threat in check. We'll exhaust it. Drop that down to 0. Exhaust them both, and then we'll spend a helicarrier here to get down defense mechanism. And yeah, we're just kind of working our way through this, it seems. Let's just swing for 2, 2, and then 2 more. So that we have 6 total damage we're going to put out on the board. So let's do 4 here. Bring this up to 6. Let's do 2 here. Bring him also up to 6. And I think we just ready up from that, yeah. And then we'll just draw up. Cool. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, Stealth Strike has some big value here. We can also do Daredevil, Arachnobatics, and whatnot. So it's going to go up by 1. Electro's going to try and attack us. He can. He's stunned. We have an encounter card. Attach the villain with the most remaining hit points. So it's going to be Scorpion. And now we can't remove threat from light at the end. So I think we finally will be knocking out Scorpion this turn, because we do want to actually be removing a little bit of threat. So what I think I want to do first is attack for 1. Sorry, attack for 2, attack for 2. So he's going to be defeated. I get to ready up. So we're going to knock out Scorpion there. We get to draw off of the Web of Life and Destiny. We got Power Within. Okay, so he's going to be defeated. So because he's defeated, we can remove threat from light at the end. So it's going to remove 4 threat from it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down to 7. We don't want to knock out Electro here because we don't want a random villain to deal with. Oh wait, I shouldn't have done it like that. Instead of doing that, I would have Stealth Striked. I forgot I had this stuff in my hand. So it would have been 1, 2, let's just say Helicarrier. Sorry, we'd have dealt 4 damage to him, knocked him out. And then it would have removed 4 threat from here, and then it would have removed 2 more. But then also we would have used all our thwarting there, because we hit him twice, but we would have just thwarted twice, so 2. So yeah, it would have been an 11. We would have thwarted for 4, bringing it down to 7. Spent the Stealth Strike, would have knocked him out. It would have dealt, it would have gone 7 down to 3, and then the Stealth Strike kicker, if that defeated an enemy with an attack, remove 2 more, 3 down to 1. Cool. So now we have 1 thread left on here. What do we want to do? I think we just need to... Hopefully we're not going to hit an ambush this next turn. I think all we do is just spend 1 resource, get down the Power Within. I think we're going to... I think all we're going to do is flip down and heal here. We'll keep the Stealth Strike in hand. We'll take 1 off of side scheme. Sorry, 1 off the main here. Oh no, I do have to actually activate though, because I want to confuse. I won't do it. I'll flip down, and then what do I want to shuffle in? We're looking for thwarting. We had the stealth strike in hand. I think we shuffle in. We don't need an arachnobatics. I think it. Oh, we only have web shot. Let's just shuffle web shot in, then that's okay. Shuffle that all up, and yeah, we're going to be pushing for the game here in this coming turn, so hopefully we can find it. And also we're going to recover up to our maximum here of 9 health points. All right, flip down, full health, stealth strike in hand. Let's ready up, and let's see if we can get this Sinister 6 W 5 and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, cool. That's back to them. That's 1. Electro's going to scheme here for basic 2. 3, 4 to 5. 1 encounter card. Let's see what it is. Attach the villain with the highest attack. If you cannot resolve the ambush ability, then attach this card to the active villain. You cannot attack villains who do not have a copy of Take One for the team attached. Alright, cool. So that's really good for us. We should be able to kind of get this win here, or that's at least the plan. So I think, do we hard play Quasar? Let me see, what's the most efficient use of our cards here? If we hard play Quasar, we thwart everything for 1. That'll bring it all the way up to 17. Does resolve the ambush. Now, we don't want to play Quasar here. We just want to knock him out normally and then see which one comes in and try and beat him down with like swing-ins and whatnot. So, yeah, we actually do want to do that. He only has 2 health left. Yeah, I think we just do a beat cop at the beginning, see what we find, and then go from there. Let's use Genki here to draw us a card. Okay, we drew into a double, so we definitely have economy for us to do things. So let's flip up. We're gonna do a beat cop here. We're gonna remove 1 threat from light at the end. That's gonna pop in. So it says when the last threat is removed from here, flip it over and resolve the ambush ability. Resolve the ambush ability on the main scheme and flip this card over. So this comes in with 15 threat. But resolving the ambush ability is going to put 2 more threat onto it, so it'll be 17 threat. And then we'll do one of these randomly. So we'll roll a dice here. 1 through 5. 5, so it'll be the last one here. Vulture is going to go ahead and come in. All right, so Vulture is in. What can we do now? So we have all these cards in our hand that we want to do things with. I guess arachnobatics would have been good. I just realized that's pretty interesting. Yeah, what do we want to do? 17 threat to get through. I don't think we're going to get through it in one phase, but we can get kind of close. What do you want to do? This is tough. I think we want to maybe play an ally. What do I want to do here? How much threat are we removing? We're dropping this down 4 down to 13, and then by 7. 13 by 7 down to 6. Then maybe if we have enough for swing in. So we just need to deal. Okay, so we're gonna start off. We're going to go ahead and attack here for 2. Yeah, that's gonna knock out Electro here and get rid of this. So we're gonna remove 4 threat from a side scheme. So we'll drop this down to 13, right? Active counter is gonna move here. We're also gonna resolve the power within, so we can use our Venom Blast ability, so we can stun Vulture and deal 2 damage. Okay. Now we need, we just need economy. So web shot here would knock him out. That would do 6 damage. Oh no, we don't want a web shot though. Do we want a web shot? That'll bring us 7 down. Bring us down to 6. And then we'd need swing in for 2. So if we web shot here for that, and we swing in for these two. Do we have enough to play Quasar to get the last threat off? We do. So I think we've got it. Okay. So let's start off with a web shot. We'll do a 4 damage to an enemy, and if we use a lightning bolt, which we're used to, we get to deal 2 more damage. So it's going to be 4, 6 damage, and then 2 more is going to be 6 damage total, and he only has 7 health, so he's going to be defeated. It says remove 4 threat from the side scheme, 7 threat if there's no other villain in play. So instead of removing 4, we'll remove 7. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, down to 6. So now there's no active villains. So there's nothing I can damage. So we just need 6 threat here to get down. We're going to go ahead and spend 1 resource for Sense of Justice and 1 for the Stealth Strike to do a swing in. We're going to remove 4 threat from a scheme here. Throw it off the side scheme for 4, bring it down to 2. And then, we have more than enough here, but we'll just do a Helicarrier, these 2 resources. Let's get down Quasar. When he enters play, we remove 1 threat from each scheme in play. Drop light at the end down to 1. Then we had a B cop, but then Quasar could also just store it for 1. And boom, that is Sinister Six defeated in expert mode. Yeah, that was a ton of fun. I think I played a little bit faster that time around because I knew what I was doing. They got me last time with, what card was it? This really nasty one when I flipped down. I mean, I had it confused and the main was at 0. Yeah, the Partnership of Pain is really nasty. There was like 4 of them out. And I just didn't play around it, but I knew it existed this time. Really clean game there. And so let's go ahead and check out the deck list. Okay, so here we are at the table with the deck list now. Sinister Six, that was super interesting. But of course, we definitely talk about it at the end, as always, when we talk about the villain ranking. So let's talk about Miles, Spider-Man himself. Always coming back to visit Miles, it's always a ton of fun. He just has really good identity-specific cards, and you see that when you play him, you almost always want to play his cards. He has stuff like the Defense Mechanism or the Power Within that let him use his special abilities based off of basic activation. When you flip down, he has really good recursion because you can shuffle in any Spider-Man card you want back into your deck. Double Life is a 1-cost ready. It can let you heal and flip back up. You have a lot of survivability with your Camouflage that gives you tough statuses, confuses an enemy. Also, your Venom Blast dealing 2 damage and stunning an enemy is super good. It turns his events, as long as you hit the really easy kickers, into like a 2 for 6, and then his thwart event is 2 for 4 with a confused and a tough. It's like super overtuned, especially if the enemy doesn't have steady or stalwart. If they do, obviously his power drops a little bit, but he's plenty powerful on his own. He doesn't need a lot to get going. You get down his web shooters, maybe get down Genki if you want, and you just start playing events, taking care of the board. He's really good at playing tempo. Of course, I shoved him into like a control playstyle because that's how I play. But he's just really strong, really good all-arounder, and you'll have a great time playing him. Let's talk about our basic package real quick. I'm running that basic Web Warrior package from Sinister Motives. We're on Hobie, we're on Ghost Spider, we're on Spider-Man. Obviously, these 2 are in here because they're just names for Across the Spider-Verse. Spider-Man is the star of the show. You have that 222 stat line. You just get a ton of use out of Miles' basic activations, and it looked like we rigged it drawing into Across the Spider-Verse just as Peter was leaving, just so we could replay him and just getting so much use out of him. We're on the core box codes here, Mockingbird and Nick Fury. Of course, we got that stun and that card draw. We opened the game with Nick Fury, got us off to a strong start with the web shooters and with the beat cop, so that was pretty cool. We're looking at our basic supports and 1 event here. We're on the Helicarrier and the Web of Life and Destiny. Web of Life and Destiny, it's just in here. It kind of thins our deck a little bit, but also it's good if we do end up playing the Web Warriors. Helicarrier is also in here just as resource generation if we have a turn just to help us in future turns. We're also on Across the Spider-Verse. Essentially, this is for us to play Peter as many times as we want. It's also really efficient because they all cost 3, and this is like a make the call that's not an aspect. So you can exhaust the Web of Life and Destiny and play a Spider ally for basically 1 cost less, which is pretty good, and you don't need to worry about the resource requirements. If we're looking at our resources we're on today, we're on the 2 Power of Justice here, and then the 3 basic doubles. We're playing enough Justice cards to warrant them, so this is just to help Miles' economy a little bit. His cards are pretty fairly costed, so he doesn't need a ton of help in that department, but it just made sense at the end of the day. Moving on to our Justice allies here, we're on a couple core box goats, but we're also on Quasar and Agent Coulson here. Quasar is a really good shout for this scenario specific. When he enters play, you remove 1 threat from each scheme. At minimum there's going to be 2 schemes in play at all times because you have a permanent side scheme. So you play him for 3, he immediately removes 2 threat from the board, and he has 3 activations. Pretty good. Also, that 2 attack can help knocking out the Sinister Six as they pop back in and out of that set aside area. Jessica Jones, for a similar reason, she has +1 threat for every side scheme in play. There's a permanent side scheme. So she's a 3-cost ally with 2/2 stats, 3 health. Really good. Agent Coulson here is here to grab a spycraft. They didn't put counterintelligence in the deck, but just a really good ally. He has 2 thwart and he can activate 3 times. Similar case here for Daredevil. He has 2 thwart, but when he activates, he deals 1 damage to an enemy. So there's some really good mixed spread damage, which you really need a lot of in this scenario because you want to be knocking out the Sinister Six, but you also want to be thwarting and whatnot. Then we're moving on to our Justice events. We're on 444 Justice here. I just thought that there's some times where you need some like burst thwarting, and also I like flipping with Miles a lot so that I can flip up and down. This we can on the flip back up. If we don't find our identity specific one, we can just play this one just fine and remove 4 threat from a scheme and keep that threat in check. Also, it's just good for an endgame push if we need 4 threat off of that side scheme, just so we have to deal with that extra encounter card. Looking at Stealth Strike here, this is a pretty fun tech card that I was, kind of made aware of again when I played the Valkyrie deck from one of my friends. It was included in the Valkyrie deck, and I think this is really interesting, especially for this scenario. It's 3 for 4 damage, just seems a bit overcosted, but if you defeat an enemy with this attack, you remove 2 threat for a scheme. So it's basically what this scenario wants. You want to be doing a lot of, a good amount of thwarting, but you also want to be shuffling damage on the side. This card can get you both of it, so it's really, really cool. Now we're on to our upgrades and supports. Well, I think these are all just upgrades. We're on Spycraft. We can fetch this with Coulson and lets us cancel and reveal another encounter card. The problem with this scenario in expert mode is that all of the really nasty cards that get surge also get a line of text that say this card can't be canceled, so you have to deal with it anyways. So this is, I think counterintelligence might have been better, but I didn't play Coulson or this in either of the 2 games, so it's just in there just in case. We're on Sense of Justice here. This actually got a lot more use than I thought it would. Miles has 2 thwart events, but we also included 3 here with the 4 Justice. Just really helps keep our cost curve down, lets us play more cards a turn, and it can help us out. We're on Heroic Intuition here. Again, I just thought because we had Spider-Man in the deck, we could be thwarting for 3 and then 3, so it could be really good for us to just get some large batches of thwarting when we're trying to clear out the side scheme. Didn't end up playing it, and then Under Surveillance is like the core box patch card, as you would. It changes that main scheme for 8 per player to 12, or like 8 per player, so like it would be 8 in solo to 12 because it adds 4 to the main scheme, meaning we could pretty safely at most times just flip down, get the extra card, draw off Genki, heal, and whatnot. And this is one of my favorite cards probably of all time. I know it's not as played these days and it's a really big tempo hit, but in solo specifically, if you have the economy or the tempo to play it, it's so good. It lets you negate that 1 threat that goes up every turn. As an action, you can exhaust Beat Cop, remove 1 threat from here, and then also as an action, you can exhaust it and discard it, deal 1 damage to a minion for each threat on this card. Super fun, super versatile. I loved it. I got both of them down that game, and you saw how much I was able to manipulate the side scheme in the main, get these really cool threat ranges and whatnot. It was super cool. I love playing Miles. This was an awesome game. But let's go ahead and see where the Sinister Six stack up with the rest of the villains in Marvel Champions. See you there. Okay, so here we are with the villain ranking. Now, today we are talking about Sinister Six. Now, this is a really weird scenario to rate. So, as I alluded to, I think in the gameplay and also when I was fighting them, I did have 1 loss against them, which is the first of this box. I don't expect it to be the last if you know what's coming up next week. But that being said, they actually did give me a run for my money. They gave me a loss. But do I necessarily think that 1-to-1 correlates to how difficult they are? Let's talk about it. The Sinister Six is a scenario that I think in solo specifically is pretty flawed in a lot of ways. I really don't like how their force response works. I don't like how it's only on their attack. I don't like how it's, in terms of how the scenario functions, I don't like that it's only on their attack. I don't like that they actually have to deal damage to you and not just a character. If it was a character, it would make it much more dynamic and get past the chump blocking thing. But as it stands, the kind of prevalent strategy is kind of let them spawn as many Sinister Six enemies as you want. Because you don't want them to resolve the ambush ability on expert mode because it just makes more threat for you to deal with. So you kind of want to like stall a little bit, build up. Their effects are bad, but usually they're not bad enough to the point where you're really like hurting for tempo. Speaking of tempo, they don't start with a lot of cards in play. Like, yeah, they start with a couple of the Sinister Six in play, and yeah, the main and the side scheme has a little bit of threat. But the thing about it that you'll find out very quickly is that you run into more issues defeating them early than you do not defeating them, if that makes sense. Because if you defeat all of them early, a lot of heroes' kits get weaker, so like you can't utilize your stuns and confuses because they don't come out until the start of the villain phase. Now this is sort of like a give or take there. You kind of want to sit on like a couple of the Sinister Six, maybe 2 or 3, and if you really metagamed it, you can sit on the ones that have the least bad effects, for the ones that pull the cards out of the encounter deck, the treachery cards basically, that pull out 2 specific Sinister Six villains and put them onto the board. So if you want to metagame it a little bit, you want to make sure to really defeat the ones that have the nastiest effects. I didn't do that. I didn't really read over them at all. But I did do the metagame of leaving a couple on the board until I was ready, building up resources, thwarting off the side scheme manually and not worrying about knocking them out, because you don't really want to deal with that extra encounter card in solo mode when it gets to light at the end and it flips over. In addition, it also flips over the ambush, and every time that ambush ability goes off, you get more threat on that side scheme, which is just like a small annoyance that I just don't want to deal with, along with the fact you can't utilize stuns or confuses, and we played Miles, so you know he has a ton of those, and it's really good to just be able to flip up and flip down. None of them have steady, none of them have stalwart, none of them really have like retaliate or anything like that. All of their power of the villains are based on their activations, so as long as you shut down the activations and build, they really don't do a ton of pressure against you. Now you don't want to get all of the Sinister Six on the board because they get that one encounter card that lets them attack using all the attack on the table, or scheme with all the scheme on the table, and that's the scheme one is how I actually ended up losing the first game, even though I thought I was going really well. But yeah, so it's definitely a scenario that can have some difficulty for sure. Specifically, I want to talk about expert mode because it does the thing that is kind of an annoying way that scenarios get more difficult. Is a lot of the cards gain surge in expert mode. So there's a couple of cards that are like place a couple threat on the main scheme for each villain on the board, and then it surges in expert mode. And then there's just like other ones that like surge that, and the card can't be canceled. And I think it's like a really annoying and like kind of boring way to increase the difficulty, but it does increase the difficulty. It's not really a rating of if I think it's good difficulty or bad difficulty, just an overall rating of how difficult do I think the scenario is. But as a whole, I think Sinister Six gives you a lot of time to build out your board pieces. They don't put a ton of pressure on you. None of the villains are really that scary in my opinion. Their stats just aren't super high. Specifically Scorpion, kind of the emergent strategy I found for solo at least was just to let Scorpion stay on the board. His effect is really nasty, but as long as you can not lock him down, stun him, or chump his attacks, he has 0 scheme, so you can just flip down basically every single turn, take advantage of your higher hand size, build out, flip back up, get the thread down on the main, and still stabilize the board, wait for those Sinister Six villains to pile up a little bit, and then go for an all-out burst to clear that side scheme in one turn, essentially. So, like I said, even in my winning attempt, I was able to pretty easily build out 2 beat cops, which are big tempo hits until they've been out for a couple turns. So, like I said, all these things mean you get a lot of tempo to work against them, unlike a Venom that starts with 8 per player threat. I'm trying to see if I think they're around this area. They feel very similar to like a Red Skull because there's so much thwarting that needs to be done. They can get shut down in a similar as Nebula, and they have a lot of... I think it's kind of similar to the Nebula scenario in Expert. You have these encounter cards that can take away your upgrades, kind of like the Space Pirates. There's some surging going on. I think it's a very, very similar encounter... to Nebula, kind of. But I don't think it's as strong as Nebula. But I think it's stronger than Venom. Venom's really annoying. You can't lock him down with the steady and retaliate, but he has higher hit points. I think Red Skull might be consistently harder. So I think this is fine. I might actually be... I don't know. I might actually think they're like the top of B tier. So I think Venom is harder than Sinister Six. I don't actually know. It's like a Nebula type thing where if they get all their Surge cards, maybe. But if they don't get their Surge cards, they're not really that bad. They have a lot of random attachments that'll just attach, and they're like nothing encounter cards that are like, oh, you can't take threat off the side schemes. Like, okay, I'll just defeat this one. It's not a big deal. There's one that puts Crisis, which can be scary. I think I'll put them at the top of B tier. I think I might have talked myself into it. I just don't think... They're definitely formidable and they're tough, and you need to be playing a good deck or have some idea of what you're doing, but I don't think they're anything crazy in terms of difficulty. I don't think they're on maybe this higher A tier. But let me know what you guys think down below. What do you guys like fighting the Sinister Six against with? What's your favorite and least favorite of them? I think my favorite's probably Scorpion because he's so easy to flip down against, and I love flipping down. And yeah, that's a ton of fun. Look forward to next week. We're getting to the end of Sinister Motives, and you know what that means. It's basically going to be my first plays against Venom Goblin on Expert. Very scary. I've been alluding to it. But after that, I think we're kind of over the hill, or it's basically the halfway point of the game, maybe a little over halfway. And it's kind of like downhill from here. We got another challenge in Magneto, but all of these guys should be much more manageable than the Ronin and the Venom Goblins. That's going to be a ton of fun, so make sure to check that out. Leave a like if you haven't already, subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.